So this was Steven taking white, Steven taking black, and Colin taking white. I know you guys played a pretty complicated variation in the opening, so I'm not going to go into all the specifics of it. I know you guys played the Taisha, but maybe if I see something egregious, I'll point it out. But I don't want to go into the specifics of the Taisha here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the way the both playing is, every liberty is going to matter in this fight, and that'll come into play in a second. So white plays here. Now, white has to play here. White has to prevent black from getting this extra liberty. This is going to be a really important liberty in the fight, because if black ever gets this move here, it's going to make it so that these 4 stones are basically unassailable, and these 3 stones are going to be pretty strong. And so now these 4 stones in the corner are going to be really weak, and these 3 stones on the outside are going to be really weak. So making sure to Hane here is going to be really important, because again, it just reduces the liberty count on the inside. And so now white can play things like this and make the group in the corner live.
I see.
Not saying that's how it's going to happen, but that's what you should be thinking about.
Okay.
And also important to note that, if there's not really a good way for white or black to live on the inside, if something like this happens,
yeah,
you make the trade.
That's easy. Yeah.
So that important. This is fine too, that you can play this one first, but just as long as you know that you need to come back and play here, that's going to be the vital point.
Yeah.
I think if I were black in this position, I would probably jump here. Even though there's an obvious weakness of the cut, I think that black will give up this area and instead capture on the larger scale. So even though white makes maybe 20 some odd points here, this result on the outside would be quite nice for black.
Okay.
So even though this seems like a really large move, and it is definitely large points wise, the outward influence is worth more. And black has a really nice way of sacrificing it as well.
Can you show the capture of those white stones? I didn't quite see how you capture it.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. I want to look quickly. Maybe something like this. It's not necessarily a clear capture, but it's a pretty bad fight for white. Maybe white tries to jump to do something like this, but it's not going to be a fun fight for white. Or something like this. So either way, though, black's going to have the advantage in this fight.
Okay. Because it looked like the black stones were weak too, the ones at F4.
I think they're not particularly weak, because black has the right side to run to. But it's not without merit to think about it. It's certainly not a clean kill.
Okay.
But I think that the lower side is not worth as much as the center.
Yeah.
Here, white missed a good opportunity to double Hane.
Yeah, I saw that in your variation a minute ago.
Yeah. Obviously, this is too good for white. So black would probably have to play here, maybe something like this, and it would get pretty complicated, I think. Something like this might happen. It might get pretty complicated. But either way, I think the double Hane, again, just the liberties are going to matter so much right now, because everything is fighting for its life.
Yeah.
So this is kind of interesting. What if white plays here, black plays here, white plays here, something like this occurs? It's not quite clear who wins this liberty race.
Oh, interesting. I just assumed I owed a move. I didn't really think about the fact that I might be able to attack black's group and start a capture race.
Yeah, I'm not really sure who wins the liberty race. It's probably white. It's probably black. But I guess it's black, but still it's certainly something to think about.
Yeah, I hadn't considered that.
Because it's also possible that you could make a by playing here.
Yeah.
And you do have external co-threats, right?
Sure.
Whereas white has none. So it's definitely something to think about.
Yeah, I tend to rule out co pretty quickly, unfortunately. That's something I'm trying to get better at.
But the other thing here is like, excuse me. Even if you do co, you still get this really nice framework on the outside. So it can't be a bad co for you. Even if you just get 2 moves elsewhere, it can't be a particularly bad co through you.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that I always have trouble with co is like I have this like tendency to treat it as just this last resort of like, oh, I'm in a desperate situation is the only way to live, rather than like a way to get 2 moves in a row elsewhere.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get better at thinking about that, but you know.
Yeah, like I think if you played like this, I don't actually know what black could do here. I guess black would have to play here, and then you get to Atari, and then black would play here, and you get to play here. And there's still not a great result for white, for black, right? Like white still lives here. White got this extra move at B9. So yeah, this would be quite nice for white.
Okay.
So here, this was interesting. I think black needs to cut. Whether it cuts now or later, I'm not sure, but I will say this group locally can be. Is it alive? I guess is a good question. This is a fun little end game move. If black plays away and white protects, just something like this, is this group locally alive?
I thought it was. I tried to read that out of it, and I didn't see a way to kill. But I.
So what if white plays here?
So for that one, I was thinking that what was it? I did this a couple days ago. I was thinking of
A5.
A5.
So if you play A5, black
Yep.
pushes white pushes at B6, right?
Yeah.
And now
then,
now what?
sorry. Okay. Yeah. No. I guess that's a forcing move at A7. Like A7 isn't like
You play
a
A7,
king because of the Sente move at.
white
Yeah.
Ataris, take, and come here.
So yeah.
Locally
I
dead, right?
missed that. I missed the A7 or A9 was Atari.
So black could do this. White plays here. Black plays here. White pushes. Boom, boom. And this is Seki, and that's something to note. So this locally is alive, but just it's a fun little problem. You have to figure out how.
Yeah.
So just being mindful, that's really helpful.
I did try to read that out some, but I missed the Atari there.
Yeah. I wouldn't be so quick to invade here. Again, this is white's strength over here. You don't want to play in white's strength. You'd probably want to build up some points over here, because right now the game is pretty close. And so just playing a large move over here and mapping out a large framework is going to be quite nice. I know you're white, but I don't think there's any sort of reason to create a weak group for yourself. I feel like this could only end in disaster for black. Whereas if you just take large points and let white do the same, it's going to stay pretty close. And you still always have that weakness at D16 later on too. Probably just connect back.
Yeah, I actually said that in the review. I think I definitely think that I should have connected there.
Yeah, this Atari is quite painful.
Yeah. Yeah, I regretted that the moment I played it.
Although, I mean, maybe you just have to ignore now. That's also another option. I mean, this is certainly not a good result for white, but maybe at that point you just have to ignore and play elsewhere. Because black still has to come back and play here, and and now you're not going to come and play here. So yeah, I won't harp on it because you knew about it, and it seems such a natural move too. So I can't blame you for playing E16 because I think I might have played myself in the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that like, who cares about that stone? But at the time, it felt like it should matter.
Yeah. I think if I were black here, though, I would probably play here. You know, this one stone at f18 is not that big a deal. So even if black, you know, if you cut it, like, or if you, like, who cares? You know, and it's also these stones have some life to them. So I might try to get a little bit more territory by playing like this. Although this is fine too. But you could also just as easily leave it if white Ataris play like this and still build up a large framework and have gotten this move over here. So no harm in leaving this either. Yeah, again, this is going to be the vital point of the board. All okay here.
Yeah, I wish I had gone 3 spaces there. I don't know I did 2.
Yeah. The problem though with pincering after this exchange is that it's very hard to really kill white.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I did 2 spaces. I knew I was gonna be in black strength a bit, but you know, I felt painful when I got picked.
The kick is fine. The kick's not a big deal. I think I actually like white's position here.
Okay.
I think you're fine. Again, it's too hard to attack this group, and there's still invasion points over here, still invasion points over here. So I think you're doing okay as white. I don't have too much issue. This is okay. Not a bad move. You've probably seen this before, but this is also kind of an interesting move.
Okay, yeah, I think I've seen it, but I've never tried it. So
the idea being that if black plays here, white's going to attach here, and if black protects on the right side, white can attach on this side. The problem with playing this move here is it doesn't really have a good follow-up, right? Like, you know, maybe it's putting pressure on these stones over here, but it's not quite clear who's getting put pressure on, who's getting, you know, who's attacking, who's defending, right? And so because black has this pretty strong position here, you know, you want to try to keep this group light, I guess. And so it's one way to play, but you know, I wouldn't fault it, but I just want to show that this is also a viable move, especially in this kind of double wing formation.
Yeah.
It's also possible that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Colin.
I just wanted a position somewhere over there. I hadn't tried that movie many times, so I wanted to try it. But yeah.
You could also, I mean, I think you could even be more aggressive here, right? If you played something like this, white pincers or black pincers, play here. There's no eye space for this group.
Sure.
So you know, I think that especially because of how strong this white strength is here, you know, I think you can get away with this fight.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, though, these 4 stones don't really gain you anything after this. I think if you want to play this way, you have to block here, and then when white cuts, you just give it up.
I see. That just felt like it was giving black too big a...
It is. I think it is. But the problem is after this, like, again, what did these 4 stones give you?
Yeah, I guess I was just trying to prevent the large framework, but I could have done it more actively than that.
Well, it still gives, you know, it still gets black a pretty large territory, right? It still gets black 30 solid points, and now you just have a weak group here. So it's not really reducing the framework by as much as we're hoping.
Okay.
You know, maybe something like this might be good, just to direct, because it's hard to, it's a weird place to attack. You know, if you do it like this, now your stones have a little bit easier time of running out. And if your opponent plays here, then you jump out. I'm not sure. It's an interesting area. I'd be curious to see what the AI thought, but I think this seems like a very common shape move, and so I was trying to just think of other ideas that you can kind of run around with. Yeah, I think if I were white though, if I were black here, I would just be happy to push here, right? Because then it kind of creates this like weird shape for white over here, and black's very strong over here. So I'm not quite sure what the intention behind this Q10 move is.
I don't remember. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's totally fine. I think if I were white right now, I'd probably play something like this. I'd probably try to attack these 5 stones down here.
Yeah.
If black pincers, then again you get to put pressure. If black jumps, then you get to put pressure on these stones. So I think the focus should really be on the lower side of the board.
Yeah, I think that I wasn't as confident as you are in the group on the right, so I wanted to give it a little more strength before attacking the bottom.
Sure. Yeah, no, I mean that makes sense. Though I think if you were to do anything, I would probably play here.
Yeah.
Let black play here, and then pincer.
Yeah.
Gains, get some strength over here, and then because again, the way that you use thickness, and we can say that this area would be your thickness and this area would be your thickness, is to use it to attack. And the problem is if you don't use your thickness to attack, then you just have a large thing of like a large group of stones that aren't really getting you anything. So
yeah.
This seems like you're trying to build up center territory, but that's going to be really hard with these stones over here and these stones over here. And even
yeah,
this.
But when black backed off like that, I was like, well, this
was definitely a slow move. Yeah, but I will say, this is quite painful for white.
Yeah, and I was worried that black might play that at some point. That's why I went to the bottom after that, because then I'd have a little bit of thickness down there, but it didn't work out very well for me.
Unfortunately, I think J3 might just be not the best move locally, because now black gets a really nice shape here where there's at least one eye here and also potentially one eye by playing J2. And so even if you block at J2, then you get sealed in. If you come out and play here, this isn't the shape that you want to play. You'd much rather play something like this.
Yeah, it's the usual problem where I try too hard to kill something.
This is unfortunately, even though you have all this strength over here, black was able to get out quite nicely. You're not really making any territory. Black was able to solidify this. So even if you did end up living here, it wouldn't be that much of a gain.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can skip these last few moves, I think.
Yeah, I don't want to relive that.
Yeah. You can skip those.
So where should have white played instead of the move that you said white shouldn't play? That was the part that wasn't clear to me.
Where should white have played? Instead of that diagonal?
Like one line over, right?
Where white should have played instead of that first move that.
Yeah, well, while you were away, I had mentioned the K3.
So how does that one work? How do we know that one works? That's what I always get confused with.
Well, the idea being is if black were to play the exact same shape, right? This stone is in a much better position than J3, right?
Okay.
Black gets the exact position that it wants. Which stone would you rather have, J3 or K3? I'd much rather have K3.
Yeah, that's true.
It's also not hard for this group to live, right? Because you're either going to cut through here, and come out. It's very easy for this group to come out. Okay. And if black tries to get fancy and play something like this, there's a lot of cuts here.
Oh, okay.
Basically, this stone is easy to run away, whereas this stone, it just allows black to get the nice shape that it wants and is a little bit heavier.
It removes the liberty, when he makes the shape he wants. Okay. Thanks.